Welcome to the Animal Free Labcast, everybody. I'm back today with Dr. Gemma Davis. Hiya, Gemma. What have we got coming up today?
Well, it was World Animal Free Research Day on the 27th of May, so we have a very special guest. We're going to be joined by broadcaster and animal welfare advocate Kirsty Gallacher.
Yay! Looking forward to seeing Kirsty again. That will be great. Well, before we talk with Kirsty, tell us about last week's Mythbuster question. Myth or fact? We had the myth or fact was...
Yep, got to sing
Scotland. Gotta sing it. Scotland carries out fewer animal experiments than any other country in Great Britain. Myth or fact? Gemma, which is it?
Well, 62% of people voted that this was a fact and 38% voted that it was a myth. And this one was actually a myth. So, according to the latest Home Office annual statistics that we have, over 2.6 million procedures were carried out using animals in Great Britain in 2024, which is the most recent figures we have.
Yeah.
So that's just in England, Wales and Scotland, because Northern Ireland aren't included in that because they publish their own statistics in a slightly different way.
They do.
So of those 2.6 million procedures, around 14% of those were carried out in Scotland. So that's around 370,000 procedures. And this could be at universities or at other places like contract research organisations and pharmaceutical companies and things like that. So the country that actually had the lowest number was Wales, which was quite a lot lower, and that counted for around 1% of the total and around 25,000 procedures. So that means that the remaining over 2.2 million procedures were carried out in England. So thank you to everyone for voting for that one. Might be a little bit surprising. And we'll have another one at the end of the episode for you.
We will. Kirsty, thank you so much for joining us on the Animal Free Labcast. It's great to see you.
Pleasure. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely.
Can't believe it's been a year since we did the ranking photo shoot.
I know. What a day that was. Absolutely
really was.
Amazing. It really was. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. I mean, obviously,
Thank you.
it was incredible. It was it was heaven, really. And lots of dogs and having fun with them. And it was just a joyful, important day, but also the great Rankin, the photographer.
Yes.
I was just like, oh my gosh, the chance to work with him, the legend, on something that I'm really passionate about. So it was really good, Carla. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, same here.
Oh, we're so grateful that you're supporting us again this year. Thank you, Kirsty. What made you want to be involved again this year?
Oh, it's a pleasure. I will always support you guys and what you're doing. I have such a passion for animals, animal welfare, and I really would love to see animals not being harmed in labs, not being tested on anymore. I would love to see this phased out as quickly as possible. I think it needs to be put in the vaults and the key tucked away. And I think we're all ready for animal-free research, and I think enough's enough, really. And I think actually also the brilliant work that you guys are doing and many others are doing is working. I think more people are aware of the horrors of labs, the horrors that they test on, not just the other wonderful animals like the monkeys, the pigs, the rats, the mice, etc., but they also do test on dogs and beagles because of their beautiful, docile, gentle natures. I mean, I think more people know now, which is great, which means the messaging is working. But I remember a couple of years ago, people would go, and even like the odd message this year when I put pictures up or put any sort of stories up that you guys have created on Instagram, people messaging going, oh my gosh, do they really test on dogs? Yes, they do. What? Why? And you feel like a broken record. How can you not know this goes on? I mean, it's something that's sadly there, and it's a huge problem. And we need. I just cannot wait until we don't need to do all of this campaigning anymore. I really, really can't wait for that moment, and I'm really hopeful that is sooner rather than later. Don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because I think one of the big problems is that there's just that lack of awareness, and people still think about, the 1970s and smoking beagles are horrendous, and don't think that's happening anymore. So it's so important that amazing people like you with a public profile are using that platform that you have to speak out for animals. I mean, it's just incredible. You have a reach that, we could only dream of. So thank you so much. I mean, does it ever kind of impact you that that you're doing this? Do you get people that kind of challenge you or say that you shouldn't be talking about it?
Yes, I do. I mean, I get the odd, the odd person going, I mean, obviously, as you guys know, I'm hugely into my animal campaigning and activism, really, in the way that for the good. And I will defend and shout about any animal welfare issues where I can protect and help and use my position in the media. And of course, I mean, I get people going, oh, there's bigger problems. There's, all this sort of thing. And yeah, I realise, of course, the world is not a great place. We have, whether there's wars, whether there are issues in other countries for whatever reason, economic climate is not great here. And, it's not easy. I still feel we have a duty to animals and creatures as human beings to protect, look after and live side by side and not hurt, harm and abuse. That's my feeling. Look at David Attenborough. Look what he's done and what the messaging and what he's created. Not enough people for my liking really take on board what this planet is about. I think people are too bothered about Instagram, TikTok and looking at themselves. We've become human beings are very selfish, disconnected, unkind in many aspects. And I really believe, and I know, Carla, you've heard me say this before, we need to go back to the drawing board, re-educate. I think there's a massive gulf where we used to understand compassion and empathy. We used to kind of be appreciative or look after our animals and creatures. Now, when you look at factory farming again, or testing on animals, and this is still going, and no one cares. It's just like, oh, well, I really love dogs. Do you? Do you really love dogs? For me, we've got a lot of work to do on re-education, and actually, that's what I want to use my voice for is like you guys, is spreading the word and the message that we need to be doing far more to help these animals. And that's what I always say. If people sort of do make comments, I'm quick to say, well, actually, who's going to be the voice for those animals? Who's the voice? Tell me who does that. And actually, that usually is like, oh, I say, have you got a dog? And that's it. That shuts them up. That always shuts them up. But also, I think the other thing is I don't really care. I feel so passionate now about the work I do, the campaigning I do. I'm getting stronger and more resilient that actually I don't really care what people say. I don't care. I want to be known as someone who will defend animals and I will do it in as a gentle and kind way without being too sort of shouty. But, someone's got to do it. And I think that there is a wonderful team. We're in that team. And I think we carry on and do the work we're doing. And it's partly my vocation, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so wonderful to hear you talk so passionately, like you always do, Kirsty. And I think, that it's fantastic that animals have got you kind of on their side speaking out for them because they, like you say, they don't have a voice and, they need you, don't they? They need us. They need all of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's so brilliant. So obviously this is such a massive personal issue to you, so passionate about it. Can you take us back to, is there a moment where, something really stayed with you that kind of triggered that passion and made it this kind of big personal thing for you?
I mean, I think that I'm a huge animal lover who was brought up with lots of pets and animals and loving creatures, all creatures, great and small. That was my parents were wonderful in that way, and my upbringing was a very we were quite outdoorsy kids, still are. I mean, countryside is very important to me, and hearing the birds sing and kind of being out with nature and understanding animals and all creatures. I mean, I'm famous for I won't even hurt a fly. I mean, I'm the one, people like, Mummy, there's a spider. Yep, okay. They know, my boys, it's brilliant actually, because I've always said, you do not kill a thing. just gently cajole it out, or tell me, and actually I remember once, bless Jude, he stepped on a bumblebee, didn't die, and he was only about 3. I remember this, and it stayed with me, and he remembers it still, and he was screaming, "Mummy, stepped on a bumblebee, I'm so sorry." And I was like, I had to calm him down because I didn't want this neurotic child. But it was that kind of understanding that you don't hurt anything. You don't, especially those that don't hurt you. And really, I think it was just being brought up in that lovely way of living side by side animals, caring for and having empathy and understanding that a lot of animals are sentient creatures. And I understood that more as I grew up, more educated. And then I think when we talk more about sort of actual testing on animals, I've been working quite closely with you guys, and I've been, learning more myself about the horrors. And obviously we recently saw that awful expose, didn't we? That really reverberated through the world and the media of pictures. Animal Aid, wasn't it?
Animal Aid and Animals International.
Animals International. And that expose really showed the horrors. And I think for a lot of people, we know that goes on. A lot of people don't know that goes on. And for me, it was like, yeah, this is the reality. This is not right. We don't need to do this anymore. So for me, that's really why I'm championing the cause. It's one of the causes that I champion, which is and supporting you guys with Herbie's Law and animal-free research. So I mean, that's in a very large nutshell, that's it really. My love of animals and creatures.
I think that kind of points to, the part of the problem as well, doesn't it? Like, we've become so divorced from nature and from animals and seeing ourselves as somehow separate or other to the world. And then you start to get into that kind of hierarchy mindset. And for me, I just don't have that.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
When you say like the hierarchical sort of mindset, I often say, how dare we? How dare we do that? I mean, you should see my algorithms on social media are probably very similar to yours. It's just animals and the horrors or nice stories or whatever. And then I come across one and I will go, how dare we think that's right? How dare we do that? How dare a human think that is all right to do that? I can't even, and that is where we're wrong. And that is where we've got to go back to the drawing board. We really do.
Fortunately, there are people that like us that think that, and there are other people. So I do think there's not enough.
It's difficult.
It's not enough at all. But I think, like, speaking out and you speaking out and using your voice, I think it's a starting point, isn't it? And it's something that we can build on and educate people, like you say.
Well, I think it's education. I think it's the knowledge, because you obviously still get those people that go, yeah, but what about testing for, cancer and all the, it is very difficult because it's a very... You don't want to tell someone who's maybe going through that themselves. I find it, that's where I'm not as half as knowledgeable about it as you guys are. So I know what I know. I've learned what I educate myself, but I do believe we are moving towards a place where we don't need to test on animals. That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and obviously I don't know what Gemma knows. She's the researcher.
Yes, Gemma. Tell us more.
Tell us.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, the whole point of this is that, we've been testing on animals for decades, hundreds of years, really. And there's still so many diseases that we can't cure. And that's so frustrating. We can cure cancer in a mouse, but there's so many different types of cancer that we can't cure in humans. It's just something has to change. And like you say, there's different ways to do this that are, better for people, but also kinder to animals. There's alternatives that exist now, and there's just no need to carry on the same way that we have for all of this time. So it, like you say, it is about raising awareness. It's about changing how the government works. I know you've come along to our parliamentary event recently, and that was fantastic. How did you find that? Did you enjoy the experience of talking to MPs?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I always do. I mean, I'm in Parliament quite a lot for different causes and animal welfare issues. And I always find it fascinating. And a lot of MPs want change. They want to see change, but it's not that straightforward. It's not that simple. We know that. I mean, you know too well. I mean, how how difficult it is to see change and for things to kind of like get to a certain stage where, you know, there's a debate or, you know, it's quite exhausting, really. I think the point is that we can't stop because of that. You know, I think that we have to keep banging the drum. And I think that a lot of it, like we said, yeah, there's education, there's also awareness, and it's shouting about it. And I think the great thing, there are lots of bad things about social media, of course, but there's some great things and great reasons for why social media really, really works. And I use it for that reason. I use it for my passion, which is animal welfare campaigning and spreading the word and shouting about certain things that aren't right. And for me, it's really useful in that way. And I think we can do, and thanks social media or certainly sort of platforms like Instagram or whatever, TikTok in some ways, for that reason. Because once there is more awareness, more people are, you know, going against the government and more voices are heard, and then that's where we'll see change. If it's just a small group of us, it's not going to be, it's not going to do anything. So I think it's educating, but it's also kind of shouting about stuff. And I think we're getting there really with certain animal welfare issues.
We really are seeing with the government or with MPs that, you know, when people shout about it, when people contact them, write to them, they listen. And that's why we're getting such good traction in Parliament.
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely agree with you, Kirsty. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there is hope for the future.
Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining us. You've been an absolute star. Thank you for everything that you do.
Always here, always supporting you guys. Love what you're doing. Thank you. And always will. And we won't stop, will we? We won't stop. And we want to see this phased out as soon as possible. We'll just keep working hard, and thank you for all the great work that you've done.
It was so nice to talk to Kirsty this World Animal Free Research Day, wasn't it, Gemma?
Yeah, it's always so great to speak with her. She's such a passionate person.
Yeah, she really
brilliant.
is. So tell us about World Animal Free Research Day. We've been doing it for a few years now. What's the big focus for this year?
That's right, yeah. So this year we were very excited to launch one of our new animal replacement centres of excellence at the University of Aberdeen. But you might also have seen on our social media and our emails that we've launched a brand new T-shirt to celebrate World Animal Free Research Day, which was very kindly modelled by lots of celebrities, including Kirsty. We also have some other designs that have been launched to be sold in our new shop. So if you have a look on our website, you'll see there's a link to our new shop, and it's got lots of brilliant new designs that have been created by one of our very creative members of staff, Jess. So well done, Jess. And you can see the ones that we're wearing as well.
T-shirt
so
time.
Carla, yours has got some badges on. That's lovely.
Representing Herbie's Law, of
mine's
course.
The Herbie's Law. Of course. And mine is the Herbie's Law Supporters Club. So if you want to have a look at those in more detail, because we can't really show you while we're sitting down doing the podcast, you can have a look in the shop and get one for yourself.
Yeah. But the big focus, as you say, Gemma, is launching our third ARC. So this is the Aberdeen ARC, the Animal Replacement Centre of Excellence at the University of Aberdeen. It's been a long time coming. We're so delighted. It's very exciting. So the ARC is going to be led by Professor Val Spears, who has a chair in molecular oncology, and she's co-director of the Aberdeen Cancer Centre. She's a breast cancer research specialist. She's one of the leading people in the world, and all of her focus is on animal-free, human-specific research. She's an internationally recognised leader and an advocate for us. So she's also chair of our scientific advisory panel. So we're so excited to be collaborating with her and with the university on this. We're going to be, the team is going to be developing new models of breast cancer and also continuing the work they've been doing on finding alternatives to fetal calf serum, which we've talked a lot about on the podcast, and is a horrible kind of bit of goo that people use to grow their cells in. But there are alternatives. You're like loving my scientific explanations, aren't you, Gemma?
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of goo. There's probably a more scientific way to put it.
But we can't find it today because it's very hot.
It is a bit warm.
But this is like,
Yeah,
it represents
important
kind of
work.
some of the hidden use of animals in research, because it's bottles that scientists aren't even really aware of what's in it. They just use it routinely. So that's really good to be continuing that work. And we're just so incredibly excited to see what the Aberdeen Arc will achieve, and just proud to celebrate this important milestone.
Yep, absolutely. And keep your eye out on our social media, because we will be posting more information about Val and the work that will be carried out there. So tune in and have a look.
Well, that's all we've got time for in this episode, but we'll be back in a few weeks with all the latest from the heart of animal-free research. But before we go, Gemma, what is this week's myth or fact? Myth or fact?
Yep, so this week's question is, alternatives to animal testing are new technologies that have only emerged in the last couple of decades. Myth or fact? So, as always, you can vote on our website, and you'll find the link in the podcast email or in the links on our social media, and we'll let you know the results in the next episode. If you've got any questions or would like to get in touch about anything else, then please do send us an email at hello@animalfreeresearchuk.org, and we might feature your comments in a future episode.
We love hearing from you, so please do. Well, thank you so much. That's all for this time. Thanks for listening, and we will be back in June.